Welcome to the Michigan Man Podcast on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew, for Wolverine fans from coast to coast. Go Blue, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. As I said last week, our schedule is going to be a bit off during the NCAA tournament. We'll get back to our normal day of Wednesday after the tournament ends. And we hope for Michigan, that's another couple of weeks. With us today is one of the best college basketball writers in America, and we are glad he covers Michigan hoops. Joining us in just a moment will be Brendan Quinn from The Athletic. First, a few of my thoughts to get us going. It has been a great week for Michigan basketball. The men beat LSU on Tuesday night in a nail-biter. The day before, the women took down powerhouse Tennessee to move on to the Sweet 16 for the first time in program history. Coach Kim Barnes-Arico and her team will play Baylor this weekend. We will be the decided underdog, but we at least will have the chance to slay another giant in women's college basketball. If you're like me, your stomach is still churning after watching us outlast LSU on Tuesday night. Now we move on to the Sweet 16 for the sixth time in 8 years. Our opponent will be Florida State. My guest today says Michigan has not seen a team this year with the talent of the Seminoles. They're long, athletic, hit the boards, and they play great defense. Joining us next is Brendan Quinn from The Athletic. I wish we could have had more time with him. The interview is only about 15 minutes, but his schedule, as you might guess during the tournament week, is sort of crazy. But we'll take what we can get from one of the best basketball writers in America. Here on this week's edition of The Michigan Man, so stay with us. Here with us on our game day segment is Brendan Quinn, who covers, of course, the Michigan basketball program for The Athletic. Brendan, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Appreciate it, man. Good talking to you.
And I know it is a crazy time for anyone covering any team in the tournament right now, and you've covered more than your fair share of NCAA tournaments in your time, Brendan, but not like this year's. What has it been like for you watching and covering this year's tournament so far as your impressions go?
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of bittersweet. It is after last year, right? It's just great to have a tournament and to see this thing through to the end. There were certainly times in the preseason, there were times during the actual season where I wondered if everyone would get here to this point. So it's great on that level, but at the same time, you know, the way that I'm used to covering an NCAA tournament where we get all this access and locker room access, and you're able to kind of, you know, operate in the back halls of whatever arena and talk to people and see people and feel and touch and hear and listen and just do the job at kind of a very different level than is possible right now. So it's great these games are happening, but I just wish we could kind of tell the stories in a different way.
Well, before we talk Michigan, let's start with the question a lot of folks are asking, not only in Big Ten country, but around the nation. Was the Big Ten overrated this year?
I don't think so. I mean, the Big Ten can have had a disappointing NCAA tournament and a disappointing first and second round and still have also been the deepest, most well-rounded, best conference in the country. Both things can be true in my estimation, in my opinion. The idea that, you know, a couple teams dropping some bad games discounts a year of results, that doesn't add up to me. It doesn't work that way. You know, if Illinois gets a different draw, if Rutgers doesn't blow its lead, if you know, Ohio State was maybe a little healthier. I mean, there's a million different scenarios that you can come up with. But, you know, I think the fact that all those Big Ten teams lost at once was far more coincidental than an indictment.
Well, Sunday afternoon, Michigan faces off with Florida State. And like at LSU, they're long, they're athletic, they can shoot, they're great on the boards. What intrigues you most about this matchup, Brendan?
Well, unlike LSU, Florida State plays defense, so that's different.
Yeah.
The watching Florida State, this version is really fascinating. They, the way they pass the ball, the way they share the ball, how deep they are, just this kind of parade of bodies that they can put out there, makes for a really interesting matchup. And Scotty Barnes is just a delight to watch. He's just a beautiful passer at 6'9", and he plays the game in a really interesting way. I love Raquan Gray, just 6'8", 260-pound kind of power four-man who can also play out of a ball screen and get downhill and go score on the basket. And he's got kind of a great bag of tricks that he has to his game, and really an interesting player in terms of his kind of combination of size and skill set. And then Leonard Hamilton, I've always thought he's going to get Florida State to a Final Four one day, and maybe it's this year, maybe it's next year. But he's always been so far ahead in a lot of ways of the way that he's seen the game. And I mean, this goes back to Miami when he was there, before going to the NBA, and him getting kind of this combination of size and length and depth, and that's been the staples of that program for a long time. And in this matchup, we'll see what Michigan can do. I actually think, though, that it's Michigan does kind of match up across the board with Florida State far more than most teams can probably claim to.
From a Florida State perspective, Brendan, if you're game planning or scouting Michigan, what do you think concerns them the most about Michigan?
Probably Hunter Dickinson as a passer. Florida State really swarms to the ball. They double in the post. They switch every screen, but really the emphasis of the defense is attention on the ball. They attack whoever has the ball, and when you do that with a big man, they try to force turnovers on post touches, and Hunter Dickinson, on one hand, is a little bit susceptible to turning the ball over. We've seen that before, but he's also capable of making really quick decisions with the ball and being used as a passer. And if in my opinion, Michigan's kind of key to this game is quick decisions with the ball. It's going to be really hard to play through ball screens and get downhill and go attack Florida State that way. The way that Michigan can win this game, I think, is making the extra pass and then making the extra pass off the extra pass and getting shots that way. And shots will be available if they do that. The key, though, is, not panicking when you're facing a defense like this where they swarm at you and it's, they want to cut off your vision. So, you need to be able to catch and make a decision and pass the ball and get that ball swinging around. And if you do, you'll find open shots. So, on one hand, that kind of works in Michigan's favor, but Florida State can also make teams really, really uncomfortable. So we'll see how that goes. But if I'm Leonard Hamilton, I am worried about the fact that, if Michigan starts getting to play through Dickinson and he's just rifling passes out of the post, that could spell trouble. That spells open threes, and as we know, Michigan can make open threes.
We did a great piece in The Athletic on Saturday regarding the difference between a team and a program, Brendan. And you were, highlighting, among other things, how the Michigan reserves have stepped up in a big way. In particular, Zeb Jackson, who had a great game in the Texas Southern win. And the same would be needed against LSU, and that happened. We could say the same about this Sunday's game, Brendan. Florida State is a great team. Michigan is a great program, and if Michigan wants to continue on, they're going to need contributions from a lot of folks, aren't they?
Yeah, they will. I also kind of feel like this game, I think beat Florida State, certainly probably to beat Alabama, they're going to probably need some star power this weekend. It's really all well and good to get those contributions from the reserves and even ride Eli Brooks and Shawnee Brown per game. But this game, I think you need 35 minutes from Franz Wagner, not the last 5 minutes like you got in the LSU game, right? I mean, he was basically a no-show in that game.
Mm-hmm.
He did his thing defensively and all that, but offensively, he was not a factor in that game until the last 6 minutes of regulation. You can't have that in this game. You need Franz Wagner locked in on Scotty Barnes on the defensive side, and you need him engaged offensively and making plays on the offensive side. You need Dickinson to be a dominant factor, I think, in this game. And you know, if it's not on the points, it's at the passer, getting off, working for offensive rebounds. You know, Florida State's very susceptible. The way that they attack shooters leaves them vulnerable on the offensive glass, and Hunter Dickinson can get offensive boards and get offense that way, even if he can't score at a post touches, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, those two, they got to deliver, I think, in this game for Michigan to come out of here.
Well, a lot of us have not seen, you know, much of Florida State during the season. Mm-hmm. And someone asked me this question earlier today. As tough as the Big Ten was, has Michigan played any team that's comparable in talent and size to Florida State this year in the conference?
In the conference?
Mm-hmm.
Not. Man, that's an interesting one. I hadn't really thought of it. I'm trying to think of even what would, you know, the odd thing is that, like, Michigan's probably the closest Big Ten team to Florida State.
Yeah.
You know, that in terms of its size at multiple positions, in terms of its versatility, you know, Purdue has a lot of size on the wings. Like, maybe they're kind of comparable in terms of what they have, just general size around the court, but you know, no one's Florida State, man. Florida State averages 6'8" at any given time. So the big key, I feel like, with combating that size and the matchups is a constant awareness of assignments and personnel on the floor. You know, the coaching staff really has to be locked in on what's happening at every stoppage of play, because the way that Florida State can just cycle in bodies, you know, they can catch you here and there. You look out there and suddenly there's just a really bad matchup, right? You have Mike Smith out there, and they make a quick substitution. You realize there's no one on the court under 6'6". And what the hell do you do with Mike Smith now, right?
Yeah.
Like, you really need to kind of be always aware of who's checking who, and, you know, what personnel is matched up with what personnel.
Well, the first round had a few blowouts. Overall, were some absolutely just crazy good games in the first weekend. But still, most of what I'm hearing and what you hear on the networks is no one is going to beat Gonzaga. And they do look good, no question about it. But they're going to get challenged this weekend, aren't they?
We'll see. I mean, when Gonzaga wants to turn it up, man, they can turn it up. And, you know, I very much have been under the thought that Gonzaga will go down if or when, you know, it contributes to its own demise and it kind of beats itself. I think straight up, Gonzaga playing its best versus anybody playing their best, Gonzaga is 6 points better than any team in this tournament.
Even with the conference schedule they play, that's what I get the question a lot is that the Big Ten teams have played such a tough schedule. The Pac-12 out in the West Coast, Gonzaga, you know, sort of. I don't say they sleepwalk through games, but were they tested at all this year?
Well, I mean, they beat Kansas, they beat Auburn, they beat Iowa, they beat BYU 3 times. Off the top of my head, I mean, who they play last week? Beat Oklahoma pretty handily, beat Virginia earlier in the year. Yeah, I mean, they play who you put in front of them, you know, and it's not when I look at Gonzaga, it's not a matter of what's on the schedule or what's on the box sheet. It's the talent that's on the floor. Mm-hmm. And between Timmy and Suggs and Kispert, you know, I mean, they just have their 3 best players are better than any other team's 3 best players. Period. Fact. That gives them the advantage. And it's going to be really hard to match the multiple dilemmas that Gonzaga can cause you.
Well, it is going to be another great weekend of basketball. We're all looking forward to it. I have a final question before we let you get away, though, Brendan. This is not an NCAA tournament question, but you did a story in The Athletic last week on Coach John Beilein, and you said one thing you learned after covering him for years was, if you think you know what he's thinking or what he's going to do, think again. Amazing Coach B is still such a hot commodity at 68 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually, you know, I don't know what has happened with, say, the Indiana job or the Marquette job, what the level of contact has been. But, yeah, I mean, I'm fairly stunned that neither of those places, for all we know, this could have happened for all we know, but I don't know it to be true. But I'm pretty stunned that no one has put a significant offer in front of him and make him say no. If I'm Marquette, that would have already been done, right?
Yeah.
But the fact is that he's at an interesting place in his life. Of does he want to walk back into the fire? Of he can keep on, coaching his grandkids' teams and teaching a class at Michigan and doing TV work. But I'm pretty sure when he actually watches the game, especially this time of year, man, it eats at him. So we'll see. I've been under the impression that if the right thing comes along, he'd be willing to re-engage. But he's not just going to take anything just for the sake of it, right? The school that takes a flyer on it, right? When Fordham says, "Hey, what the hell? Let's call John Beilein," make him say no, right? Like that's one thing. Indiana putting $4 million in front of him is another one. Or Marquette offering him an opportunity to go coach at a Jesuit school in the Big East and pay him 2.3 whatever a year. Those are hard things to say no to. So what does he do if or when that happens? I'm just as curious as everyone else.
Here is on our game day segment this week has been Brendan Quinn, who covers Michigan and Michigan State for The Athletic. And as always, Brendan, you have a tough schedule right now, so we appreciate you getting time in for us. And we look forward to following your great work in The Athletic through the tournament, and we look forward to that next visit.
Of course. Thanks, Mike. Always a pleasure.
On Quick Hits this week, spring football practice continues and there is not much to talk about. I think Jim and staff are pleased men's and women's basketball are in the limelight and spring football can proceed without being under the microscope. The only news this week is there will be no spring game, which doesn't surprise anyone. Family members will be allowed in the stadium to watch the final practice of spring, so until August, other than recruiting news, it should be fairly quiet on the football scene, we think anyway. In the NCAA Tournament Sweet 16 for the first time in program history, the number 6 seeded U of M women's basketball team will look to continue making history when it faces number 2 seed Baylor in the Riverwalk Regional semifinal round on Saturday at 3 p.m. Central Time, so 4 p.m. Eastern. ABC will broadcast the game from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. U of M is ranked number 16 in the final Associated Press poll of the season, while Baylor is number 5. The number 8 ranked and number 2 seeded Michigan hockey team is set to take on the number 9 ranked and number 3 seeded Minnesota Duluth, the two-time defending national champions, in a Midwest Regional semifinal game today at Shields Arena in Fargo, North Dakota. Puck drop is scheduled for 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and the game will be broadcast live on ESPNU. Number 25 ranked softball, 9-3 overall, will resume play with a 4-game set against Indiana this weekend. The series will kick off with a 4 p.m. game today, before a noon doubleheader on Saturday and a noon finale on Sunday. All games will be streamed live on Big Ten Network Plus. Number 18 ranked Michigan baseball, 9-2 overall, takes to the road for its first 3-game weekend series of the season, as the Wolverines clash with Penn State this Friday, today, through Sunday in State College. The teams will open the series today at 4 p.m., with Saturday's game beginning at 1 p.m. The series finale will start at noon, and all 3 contests will be streamed live on Big Ten Network Plus. That will do it for another show. As always at this time of the year, there is a lot happening on the Michigan sports scene. This week, all eyes will be on Michigan basketball, so good luck to Coach Barnes-Arico and the ladies on Saturday against Baylor, and to Coach Juwan Howard and the men on Sunday against Florida State. Hopefully, both move on. Have a great Wolverine weekend, everyone. Enjoy and support our Wolverines hoops teams this weekend, and make sure you tell your Michigan friends and family about the show. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Until next time, take care, and as always, go blue. Thanks for joining us today on The Michigan Man, here on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. Our listener lines are open 24/7 for your calls at 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. Or email us at themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. That's themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. The Michigan Man Podcast is produced at the studios of Robin Lynn Productions, Allen Park, Michigan, and is not affiliated with the University of Michigan. Go Blue!